Hello class, today's lesson is 9-2 in your algebra textbooks, and we're going to learn how to graph the full quadratic equation. Y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So before we do that, and introducing this new portion, the bx, let's review what we know about the quadratic function to begin with. So y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So before we were even graphing this, we already knew a few things about it. If a, this coefficient right before the x squared, if a was greater than 0, we knew that it would be pointing up. And vice versa, when a was smaller or less than 0, we knew that it would be pointing downwards. So that was one thing that we already knew just by looking at this beginning coefficient. Also, if I took the absolute value of that coefficient and I compared it to the number 1, and if I found that it was greater than 1, then that told me that it was going to be narrower than the parent quadratic function, which was y is equal to x squared. And vice versa, when I took the absolute value of that coefficient a and I found that it was less than 1, this told me that it was going to be wider. It was going to be much wider than y equal to x squared. So those were some things that we learned. Also this c, all right, when we added just a constant to the ax squared, we saw that it made it go higher. But actually what that c was, it was telling us where it was crossing the y-intercept. So the c always told us where it crossed the y-axis. Okay, these were all things that we knew without even graphing it. Well, today, because we're adding this bx, that's actually going to change the location of our parabola. And before, it was always based around the axis of symmetry being on the y-axis. Well, now it's going to move it. So the axis of symmetry is going to be moved. Okay, it might move to the left, it might move to the right. And some of the information that we can use is we can use this. X is equal to negative b divided by 2a. This is going to give me the equation of this line, the line of the axis of symmetry, by plugging in the b value and dividing it by 2 times the a value and making it negative. All right, this is going to help us find the axis of symmetry, and from there we'll know where to draw our parabola around. Because if we don't know where the axis is, we might be choosing points way off in this direction and never know where it was actually going to come to the bottom of this bell-shaped curve. So why don't we practice finding the axis of symmetry? Okay, the first one that we're going to practice with is y is equal to negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 7. What I want us to do with this quadratic function is to find the axis of symmetry, and by doing so, it's going to also help us to find the vertex. Okay, so to find the axis of symmetry, that means find the line. It's going to be negative b divided by 2a. This is going to be fairly simple. Okay, x is going to be equal to negative b is 12 divided by 2 times negative 2 is my a. That is negative 12 divided by negative 4, which is positive 3. So this line going vertical at 3, where it crosses the x-axis, is going to be my axis of symmetry. I can use this to help me find the vertex by plugging in x equal to 3 to find the y. So I'm going to plug that in, negative 2 times 3 squared plus 12 times 3 minus 7. Okay, let's rewrite this. Negative 2 times 3 squared, which is 9, is negative 18, plus 12 times 3 is 36, minus 7. All right. When I add those together, negative 18 plus 36 is positive 18, minus 7 is 11. So that's telling me that the vertex is going to be at x is 3, y 11. So at this coordinate, this is going to be the vertex of my parabola. All right, let's try another one. Just finding the axis of symmetry and the vertex. This time, it's of the function y is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 3. So x is equal to negative b divided by 2a. Let's plug in the values that we know. X is equal to negative. B is negative 2 divided by 2 times a is 1. So I have negative 2, which is positive 2, divided by 2 is equal to 1. So at the line where it crosses vertically at x of 1, that's going to be my axis of symmetry. Let's plug it in to find the vertex. Y is equal to 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. Let's rewrite this. This is 1 minus 2 minus 3. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1, minus 3 is negative 4. So the vertex is going to be at 1, negative 4. All right, so this is some good practice to help us graphing. So why don't we actually graph maybe 2 quadratic functions and use this information to help us out. The first one is y is equal to 3x squared minus 6x plus 2. So first, why don't we just look at some of the information given to figure out what it's going to kind of look like. So let's first look at this a. It is a positive 3, which is telling me that since it's positive, it's going to be facing upward. Okay? So first, it's going to be going upward. The second thing that I want us to do is let's find the axis. Okay? So that's going to be at x is equal to negative b divided by 2a. We're going to do this before we choose any points. So again, let's plug in. It's going to be negative 6 divided by 2 times the a is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 6. This is going to be positive 6 divided by positive 6, which is 1. So that means that my axis of symmetry that I'm going to draw is going to be right here at positive 1 on the x-axis. That's my axis of symmetry. So now that I know that, let's find the vertex. Okay, so if I know that x is going to be equal to 1, is going to be part of the vertex, then let's plug it in to find the y. Y is equal to 3 times 1, square that, minus 6 times 1 plus 2. So y is equal to 3 times 1 squared is 3, minus 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2. So y is 3 minus 6 is negative 3, plus 2 is negative 1. The vertex is going to be at 1, negative 1. So I'm going to plot that right here. This is going to be the bottom of my parabola. So now what I'm going to do is I'm only going to choose maybe 2 more points, and I'm going to choose them on the left-hand side of this axis of symmetry. So I'm going to choose 0 and I'm going to choose negative 1. And I'm going to plug those in. So I'm going to make a table, but I'm only going to choose 0 and negative 1. I'm going to choose 2 points. And I'm going to plug those into the top. When I plug in 0 here, 3 times 0 squared is 0, minus 6 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is simply 2. Okay, so that's one of my points, 0 up 2. And let's plug in negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. 3 times 1 is 1. Negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. So I have 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 2 is 11. And that is not going to fit on my graph, but it's going to go way up here somewhere. Okay, you can't even see it. It's so high. And actually what I can do is now I can reflect those points on the other side of my axis of symmetry. So 1 away from the line, I had it at 2. So 1 away from the line on the right hand side is also going to be at 2. Same thing way up high. 2 away was at 11. And so 2 away on the right hand side is going to be 11 as well. And now I found a much faster way to graph this parabola. So I'm going to take my marker. I'm going to try to make it as smooth as I can and have it go on up. And there we go. All right. So these are the steps that I'd like us to follow. To first look to see if it's going up or down, to then find the axis of symmetry. After that, find the vertex like we found. From that, I can choose 2 points going away on the left-hand side and then reflect those points and draw my line. So let's do one more example. This time I have the quadratic function y is equal to 2x squared minus 8x plus 7. So first, let's check. Because the a is a positive number, that's telling me that this one as well is going to go up. Okay, it's going to face upward. So the second item that I like us to do is find the axis of symmetry. All right, we find that by looking at x is equal to negative b divided by 2a. The b this time is a negative 8 divided by 2 times positive 2. Negative negative makes it positive, so 8 divided by 4 on the bottom is 2. So I know now that my axis of symmetry in this case is going to be at the line x equal 2. It's a vertical line. Okay. So I found that. Now, like we did before, let's find the vertex. Okay, we know that x is going to be positive 2. That's going to be part of the coordinate for our vertex. So let's plug that in. Y is equal to 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 7. All right? This is 2 times 4 minus 16 plus 7. 2 times 4 is 8 minus 16 plus 7. 8 minus 16 is negative 8, plus 7 is negative 1. So the coordinate for the vertex is going to be at 2, negative 1. So 2 down, negative 1. This is my vertex. Like I did before, let's choose 2 points going to the left. So I'm going to choose 1, and I'm going to choose 0 as my x values. 1 and 0. So why don't we plug in 1 up above? 2 times 1 squared is 2, minus 8 times 1, which is 8. So 2 minus 8 is negative 6, plus 7 is positive 1. Now let's plug in 0. 2 times 0 is 0, minus 8 times 0 is 0, plus 7 is 7. Okay, so I'm going to have 1 up 1 as one of my points, and 0 up 7 as another one of my points. That final step now is to reflect those points on the right hand side. So I have 1, 1. I'm going to reflect it 1 away. And I also have 2 away. I had 7, so I'm going to go 2 away on the right hand side. Got that point. And now I can draw my parabola. Again, you want to try to go as nice and smooth as you can when you're doing this. Nice and rounded. And there we go. So we successfully graphed two parabolas. See you in class.